Hi everyone, I welcome you all in this really superb and exciting learning journey of Python, machine learning and machine learning operations. See, as of now we had seen how to package your project, how to create a modules and how can we access the modules using the main file. And we had seen the reusability of the code. For example, we created three different sub packages and all those sub packages were having different Python file. Those Python files were the modules in those packages and we were importing it over here. Now it's time to discuss the distribution of this particular project. Distribution means what? Suppose you have a friend and you want to share this project with that person. Now, if you are going to share, is it like you have to share this thing? Like the complete script that you wrote? No, you will not share this whole script. Reason? The person you are sharing the code, the person may be knowing or may not be knowing about this script, may not be knowing like where to place this script. Okay, what Python version you are using, that person may not be knowing. How to use it, that person may not be knowing. There are so many complications, and most important, the person may do some changes in this project which is not accepted, which is not required, because you are sharing the the backend Python code. So any changes is possible, anyone can do any kind of change, right? So what you need to do, you need to share the distribution file. Okay, a distribute. Now the question is, what is a distribution file? Distribution file is something which can be easily installed in any system. Okay, what I mean, let's say if you have to use NumPy, so is it like you use the actual code that is written in NumPy? If you are using pandas, so are you using actual code written in pandas? No. What do? You just run a command pip install NumPy. Okay, and this thing get installed into your system, and thereafter whatever the functions you required from this particular module, okay, any statistical function, any linear algebraic function, you can easily use it, right? Why? Because you are accessing the distribution file which is present where, which is present at PyPy. Okay, when you run pip install numpy, you are actually installing the numpy package from the PyPy repository. Now, what is PyPy repository? PyPy repository you can consider like a play store of mobile applications. Like if you have to install a mobile applications, from where you install it? You install it from the Play Store or App Store, right? Same way, PyPy is a repository in which all the Python module used to be stored. Anyone can install the modules from that PyPy repository easily. That we will explore later on, right? As of now, we are going to understand how can we create a distribution file that can be shared with anyone and anyone can install that into their system. And once it is installed, whatever the functions we created over here, that can be easily used or reused any number of times without accessing the code written. That means without accessing the raw code written over here. Okay, anyone else who is using my e-commerce software need not to access the raw code written over here. Okay, the person just need a distribution file. So that's the thing we are going to understand over here. That means the concept that we are going to learn is very simple. Once we share the distribution file, the person just need to run pip install, right, e-commerce. Okay, and once the person installed it into their system, whatever the functions we created like add product or list product or add users or authenticate user, excuse me, all the functions can easily be accessed by that person once this file is installed. So our job is to just create this distribution file which can be installed into any system. Okay, so I hope I'm clear what are we going to do. So let's proceed with this thing. All right, so to work on these things, we need to create a very special important file. That means to create a distribution file, we need to create one file which is called setup.py. Using setup.py, our distribution file will be generated. Now, what is setup.py? It is a special file that helps package your code and make it easy to install. Okay, that means to make this thing installable, or to make this thing, in a way, you have to just create a distribution file which can help this thing to install somewhere in some of the system. We will use setup.py. So it will just create a blueprint of your project. Now it will just contain, we have to just tell the Python, for example, when we create a file which can be installed. So this setup.py will tell the Python what your project is called, the version of your project, and what are the dependency it needs. Dependencies means what are the other modules, what are the Python version, and what are the other things that it requires actually, right? So those things we have to just mention in setup.py, and in return setup.py will create your distribution file. All right. Now, what are the projects we had worked upon? So this is a project on which we worked upon. We created an e-commerce project in which we have a product that is your sub package. Then user is a sub package, maintaining the user, and order was your sub package, and e-commerce was your main package. So it was a simple project with a collection of package and sub package. Next, we have to do what? We have to create a setup.py file. So we'll see how can we create a setup.py step by step. So for creating the setup.py, what we do, this is our e-commerce project, right? So here in the main project, we'll create the setup.py. All right. So here I'll write setup.py. So what setup.py will do? Already I told you this is a special file which will just help us in kind of help Python recognizing your project, what your project is about, and finally helping the Python to generate a distribution file which can be installed in any system. So to work on this thing, what I required to import certain files like from setup tools, okay, and import setup. Okay, and one more thing that is called find packages. These two things we have to import. Now in case if you don't have setup tools into your system pre-installed, you have to install it like this: pip install setup tools. Okay, once you install it, you can easily import it. Okay, now we have to write a function, or you have to basically trigger a function which is called setup function. Now this setup function requires few parameter to be passed, right? Like for example, name parameter. Name parameter will do what? Will define the name of your project. Thereafter version. Okay. Thereafter we have to define over here the author. Okay. The creator of the project. Thereafter you have to define the author email. Okay. All right. Comma I missed. Fine. Thereafter we have to define the description of the project. Okay. Thereafter, I need to define over here install requires, that is the dependencies. Install requires. Okay. Thereafter, we need to define the some kind of a classy. There is a one more parameter which is called classifier. Classifier will define that okay, this is your open source licensed project, right? So that's what we will define it over here. We'll come to this thing. Thereafter, we need to define over here the Python requires. Okay, what Python version actually this project requires, so that in case if someone is using a Python version, like suppose I just mentioned over here, greater than equals to 3.6. So in case if someone is using any Python version older than 3.6, so this will generate an exception for that person, right? So here it should be equal to sign over here, and this should be like this. Okay. That's it. So this is how we'll define. Now let's try to finish this thing. Name of the project. Okay, like for example, what name I can give to this guy? We can give it a name, for example, e-commerce, right? All right. And most important, this should be within the quotes. Thereafter version that we are going to create, obviously person, those who are using, they should know what version they are using. Okay. Thereafter the author, let's say people. Okay, just give the name, okay, of your name you can give, then author email, you can give anything like bipul@example.com. All right. There are a description of the project, like for example, I'll just write the description. That means what this project is about. So I can write a package for managing products, users, and orders in a e-commerce app. Nice. All right. Next, what we do, we'll write over here the install pack requires. So install requires, I can keep it blank as of now, right? Later on, when we work on a machine learning project, some installation such as NumPy, Pandas, all those things, we can just mention over here. And thereafter, it's like one more thing that I missed over here, that is called packages. Packages is equals to, I have to use this thing, that is find packages. So this will help us in creating the, basically finding out the package, all the package that we created and converting into a distribution file. So our description packages install requires can be as it is. Now we'll try to mention something in classifiers. In the classifiers, first we mentioned over here that programming language. So programming language that is used over here is Python, right? And which version of Python? It is 3. Next, we'll define over here license. Okay, so licensing can be, let's say, I'll just write over here open source. Okay, so here actually the code should not be closed here. Open source interface approved. Approved. So it's like, oh, this is open source community approval. That's what we are mentioning, and that kind of license is provided by MIT. So this is just, I can write it over here, MIT license. MIT license represents all open source projects. All right. Thereafter, I can mention over here operating system. Okay. So for the operating system, since it is a Python based project, so it must be OS independent. Just fix it. All right. So I just manage all the things in a proper order. And I also, all right. So I just mentioned all the comments for each line over here. And this should be following a proper indentation so that we can avoid any unexpected error. And now everything is working over here. I'll just save this file. Okay, just Control and S. Now, after saving this file, what we need to do? We need to execute it. So how can we execute it? See, this particular file is saved at a particular location. Which location? Let me show you. So see, here this is my project name, e-commerce package example. Within this, we have a e-commerce file, and then we have a setup.py. Okay, you can see over here. So we'll go to this particular location, and at this location, what we execute? We'll just type over here CMD. Okay, when we type CMD over here at the top at this location, what it will do? It will launch a command prompt at this particular location. Okay, I'll press enter. Okay, you can see a command prompt at the same location. At these locations, what are the files we have? Through dir I can check. So these are the files, setup.py. Now I have to trigger this setup.py. How can I trigger? I will just call over here Python setup.py sdist. Okay, create a distribution file. Okay, and I'll press enter. Okay, so when I press enter, what will happen? Let me show you. You will get a new file over here. You can see. Okay, you can see this is what? Distribution file, dist. This is a distribution file that we got. This is representing what? This is representing a file using which you can easily install this e-commerce application into your system. Okay, if I show you in VS Code, let me show you in VS Code. You can see over here, there is a distribution file over here. All right. So we have a distribution file that can be helpful in installing the e-commerce into the system. So let's see how can we install it. Okay. So for installation, if you see, we have this particular file with the, okay, this is a distribution file that we can install, right? So I'll just copy the path. Okay. And once I copy the path, what I can do, I can again launch any command prompt. Okay. So for the command prompt, let's say, I'll do what? I will just start a command prompt at any location. Okay. I'll just start a command prompt at any location. So see, this is my command prompt, right? And here what I type pip install Okay, the file that we just copied, isn't it? This is something that I had given. Okay, either you can go directly into the location where it is there, where we have created it, like distribution file we created in this location. So directly go to that location and can type pip install, or you can do it like this. All right. So now what happened if I will press enter over here? It is just installing it. What it is showing that it is installed. Successfully built e-commerce, and let's say once it is getting installed, it is installed. Now once it is installed, I can do what? I can just write over here Python and can launch the Python cell. And in this cell, let's say I'll import from e-commerce, or if I just type import e-commerce, let's say if it is getting imported or not. It is getting imported, right? Now I can do what? I can just use from e-commerce dot products dot product manager, because in the e-commerce we have a sub package products. Within the sub package products we have a module product manager, right? Okay, import add product. All right, so now I'll just import it, right? Same way from e-commerce dot users dot user manager import add user. Nice. Now I can do what? I can trigger the function, like add product was one of the function that we created. Add product, let's say laptop. Okay. In case if you missed it, so I will show you what is add product. See, within the product manager, we have a add product. See over here in the e-commerce product manager, and this is a product. In the product manager section, you can see there is a add product, right? So this add product was created for the purpose of what? Adding a product. So same thing we are doing. Let's do it. So add product laptop 1010. Okay. Product laptop. So whatever the print statement we had given, you can see it is showing us, right? Then add user. Okay. And then I can just use over here John Doe. Okay. And then I can give over here john@hello.com. So everything is working cool, right? So it's like you can use it over here in this command prompt. So you can see how these things are working. Now you can trigger other things, like here I'm only importing add product. Suppose if I have to use list product or so many other packages that you created, right? You have created this thing that is your in the e-commerce about the products. We have also created over here this thing that is called list products, right? So list products I have not imported. In case if you want to use it, you can just import it, like add user here. That's a list product. All right. Now if I will, I guess spelling mistake maybe there, list products. Okay. Now if I will call list products, whatever the code that I wrote, it is working. Okay, listing all products kind of thing. So these things are working good because we have installed our package into our system. Then the name of the package is what? E-commerce. Okay, and this is my version. In case if I want to uninstall it, I can also uninstall this thing. Pip uninstall e-commerce. Okay, now let's see. It is uninstalling from my system. Okay, so now if I have to share the project with my friend, okay, if I have to share the project with my friend, what I will do? I will just share the distribution file, right? I will not share the complete script, isn't it? I will not share the complete script with my friend. What I'll do? What thing I have to share? Let me show you actually. I have to share this distribution file. Okay, and once I share this distribution file, the person can easily install into their system and make use of all the functions that I created. Okay, that is one thing that I can do. Okay, now question over here, is there any way through which I can upload it to cloud or any internet service, and thereafter the person can directly download from there and install it into their system? Yes, there are certain ways. We can share this thing through multiple ways. We can share this thing through GitHub. Okay, we can upload it to GitHub and push it to GitHub, and from the GitHub user can access it. We can push it to PyPy. Okay, and user can also access it from the PyPy. So that are the things that we are going to explore next. Meanwhile, just try to create this installer package with the help of setup.py, and do let me know if you find anything difficult, anything which is not working for you. Until then, keep learning, happy learning, stay tuned.